here we go. What is up, friends? How's it going? Welcome to yet another episode of the Player vs. Live podcast. As always, my name is Gabo, and I will be your host. I have a unique guest coming up. She is a successful gaming streamer and founder of Evasion, an esport gaming organization focused on bringing amazing tournaments for the hardcore FPS game Escape from Tarkov. After discovering her passions for games, thanks to her youngest son, she began her journey as a competitive player and content creator, and is now one of the most influential personalities in the community, and head of a rising gaming organization. I particularly loved her story. It was very cool to find out how her views on games have changed throughout time, but also how it has influenced her life. Don't forget to like and subscribe for some awesome and deep conversations about games. Please give it up for Sigma. Let's just say this. I think the Escape from Tarkov community is very fortunate to have you. You're such an active member of the community. And once I got into your profile, Sigma, I was super impressed that not only you were a streamer, a very chill and entertainment streamer, but also you had your hands on all these event organization in the Tarkov community, which is awesome. I want to kind of unpack all of that, ask you questions about Evasion. What would you call it? It's a gaming organization?
Yeah, we've actually officially called it an esports org. I kind of hesitated on calling it that, but that's exactly what it is. I just felt like they kind of pop up everywhere, and
Yeah.
obviously I don't do anything on we say we don't half-ass anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we go full speed ahead. So I didn't want to be grouped maybe with some orgs that thought they were an esports org, but it was like 5 people that hang out on the weekends.
Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that. But let's backtrack a little bit because I think you have a very interesting story when it comes to how you got introduced to gaming. Let's start with that. How did all this gaming adventure start for you?
So I was literally that normal average mom that's like, we don't have time for video games, and you know, we've got all this stuff to do, there's homework, and you know, yada yada down the line. And my son actually asked for a Switch for Christmas. He wanted to play Splatoon, and so we ended up getting him the whole setup. And he wakes up Christmas morning, he is freaking out that he has the game Splatoon. We get it all set up for him, and then he said, okay, Mom, now you play. Like, he hadn't even played yet, and all he wanted to do was have me play. And I was like, I don't play video games. Like, I suck at them. He's like, no, Mom, come on. And I was like, fine, I'll play. So fast forward 6 months later, and I was on a competitive team.
That's awesome. But let me ask you a little bit more about your first experience playing Splatoon. How did you feel? Was it really like completely new to you, or was it somewhat intuitive? Because there's some people that really can't play video games, you know? I think that there's like a bar that you have to be a certain skill level to be able to enjoy a video game, you know? So if you really don't have those motor skills or those you know, the dexterity with your finger and your eye coordination, you really can't really enjoy them. So I want to know, like, how were you like good? Were you like super struggling? You're like, oh, I suck, I just gotta get better.
I wasn't good, but I could see the fun in it. So here's like a funny fact. I've never even beat Super Mario Brothers, like the original. I've never beat it, but I have played the heck out of it because I always had so much fun with it. I kept thinking eventually I'll beat it, and it never bothered me that I wasn't beating it right then. I actually had more fun playing that game. I was really, really young, but I remember trying to beat my time. I was like really into how quick I could run through a level. I wasn't like big into playing video games in general. I actually was raised on a ranch. I know when I met my husband, he was playing Call of Duty and Madden, and I tried to play Call of Duty, and there was too much happening. It overwhelmed me and pissed me off, and so I didn't play. And then that's when I finally played another video game, was Splatoon. But I had watched it on YouTube a couple of times with my son before he got it, so that I would know like what it was. And I thought it was kind of a cool concept game. And so if I could hang out with my son and play, but he had way more fun if I was just playing. So
you basically become invested in Splatoon and and
yeah.
join this competitive team. I'm curious, how does this blend in with your mom responsibilities? Because you're also like trying to teach your son about video games as you're diving into
Right,
this, right?
right. Yeah, so I actually would play a lot when they were at school. And, maybe in the evening after we got done having dinner and all that. So it wasn't that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
It was when I found out about Twitch. I was in an actual competition. I did not realize what was happening at the time. I didn't even know what Twitch was, but I was in a competition and somebody sent me a clip from Twitch and it was of the casters. They were talking about me and I was like, oh my gosh, like, what is this? Now, in hindsight, I realized how funny that is. Like, I was actively participating in esports and didn't know it, had not a clue. But I showed my husband the clip and I said, what is Twitch? And he told me, well, people watch other people play video games. When I first heard this, I thought that was dumb. Like, why would you watch somebody else play a video game? Why wouldn't you just play it?
Right.
But after watching YouTube videos and whatnot with my son, I understood why people do it. So I was like, well, I want to stream to Twitch. Like, I could actually hang out and stream and, maybe get like 8 to 10 friends. That was literally my goal, was to have like 8 to 10 friends to hang out with on the weekend and play video games with. So he said, yeah. And next thing you know, in January, what was it? January 2018, I started streaming Splatoon on Twitch. I thought that it was just as easy as sharing my screen and having a microphone. I did not realize what streaming actually encompasses. Here we are 3 years later, and I'm still learning little tricks of the trade. That's how it started, and I just had a little headset with a microphone on it and had a good old time. And I would just stream, I don't know, whenever I could. Then next thing you know, somebody told me about a game called PUBG, and I was like, oh, that's right, Twitch. Like, I could look up any game and see what it looks like live and,
Mm-hmm.
interact with people. And so I actually found PUBG early on, but it had just kind of been bubbling in my brain, I guess. Oh, I could try it, I could play it.
Mm.
And so I downloaded it to the laptop by myself. I didn't ask my husband to help, which normally anything techie I do. And I remember I went into my first game. I get out of the plane, I hit the ground. I'm trying to find, gun, and I'm literally looking at my keyboard the whole time on my laptop trying to figure out what's going on. And I ended up dying because I got to a fence and I couldn't jump over because I couldn't figure out which button makes you jump. That's how funny it was. Like, you look back and you're able to laugh at yourself in that
Gotcha.
situation. I was not able to even jump. The most obvious thing is a space bar, and I never hit it. I hit J, I hit all these other buttons.
So how do you end up
Yeah.
becoming super invested in Escape from Tarkov? Because that game is not only hard, it's infuriating. It
Uh-huh.
takes your soul away. I don't know. It's not your friend, you know.
Right, right.
It's a very
Um,
hard game to play. It's my main point. So how do you
yes,
find out about it?
pure stubbornness, to be honest with you, I think really helps. After the PUBG incident, I told my husband, like, hey, I downloaded that game PUBG. Like, I think I've had a lot of fun watching people play it and I want to try it. And he's like, okay. So he kind of helped explain a few things to me. I just tried to be really patient with myself because I knew, like, I don't play this game. I don't play on keyboard and mouse. Like, I'm a controller player. But I just kept trying and I found a lot of people that were really just patient with me as well. They found excitement in watching me try to learn a game and
I
helping
see.
me. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And after I found my groove with it, I wasn't out winning chicken dinners left and right or anything. But after I found my groove with it, I kept telling my chat, like, something's missing. And one of my mods, Flying Riz, at the time, he said, you should try this game called Escape from Tarkov. My husband was like, oh, yeah, that game looks sick. So it was on sale that weekend and we bought it. And I hated it. Like, I hated it. Who killed me? Where's my death cam? Like,
Right.
how do I know you're on my team? Where's my map at? How come I can't bring up a map? Like, this is stupid. Everything that you could imagine, I was there. I keep dying. Oh my god, what do you mean I can't load my gun? This isn't the right bullet? Like, it was so bad. It
Yeah.
was. So I spent a few weeks cussing the game out easily and genuinely getting mad at it. Like, I
Hmm.
was actually mad. I realized that I wasn't mad at the game, I was mad at myself. That stubbornness just carried me through because I went back to PUBG for, on and off throughout a few weeks. And my husband was playing Tarkov left and right every time I would come into his office. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll try it again. And I just remember one day being like, that's it. Like, this game isn't going to own me. I'm going to be good at this game. I don't care what it takes. So from there on out, like, I just ran with my mods all the time and anybody that, wanted to run games, as long as they wouldn't mind being patient with me. And I started just slowly but surely picking it up. And you know how it is when you get your first few kills. You just feel like a god. You're like, oh my gosh, it's finally connecting. And yeah, once you can push past the fear and the hyperrealism, like you said, and trying to coordinate just healing, like all the stuff that you have to be able to do in a fight, it was really cool to watch it all come together. I felt like I was accomplishing something.
Yes, for sure. You can feel pride in that. Even for me, which I used to play Apex Legends before, and I consider Apex a hard game. It's fast-paced, and mechanically you have to be very proficient. I went into Tarkov, and I still had a hard time. I still had a hard time doing all these things that you're talking about. When you mentioned something about, how people felt invested in you, helping you, right? That's very much part of Tarkov. Is helping your friends and like helping them know information, because the way the game is made is that information is never readily available, right? It's not like you can instantly know, oh, this is where I can find this loot. You kind of have to ask around or like look it up online. And if you have friends that are invested in helping you, your success becomes their success, right?
Right. Yeah, you get excited for those people when they accomplish like one of their tasks or they finally find that item. Like,
to me,
really
that's
cool.
One of those aspects about gaming that kind of inspires this cooperation. You share these amazing stories, which create a lot of connections and a deep connection with friends. And so it's really cool. It's really cool to hear that.
Yeah. I think that's probably the thing that has surprised me the most. Not trying to be a jerk, but I totally had the meme view of gamers before I became a gamer. I thought it was literally just having no social interaction and just playing a game all day long and drinking Mountain Dew. And I came into this Twitch world and honestly floored at, I talk to people internationally all the time. That's mind blowing to your normal person to think like, I had a conversation with somebody in Australia today and Germany and Finland. It's super cool. And these are all average people that, everybody's out there busting their butt in the world or busting their butt at trying to grow their channel, or everybody's working hard towards different goals, and you get to hear about that. And I think that's probably been one of the things that makes me feel the most lucky, is everybody that I've gotten to meet and hear their stories or just get to say hi to them when they come by. Like, we always say that time is your most valuable asset, because it is. And people take the time to come hang out in your channel or come watch an event that you're putting on. And that really makes me happy.
Yeah.
It really, really does. This community has been nothing but a blessing.
I think about this because I want to be a successful streamer as well as a successful podcaster, right? And it really makes me wonder, I think about it critically. It's like, what am I really providing as an entertainer, right? If you think about it deeply, like, we're really competing for people's times, trying to say like, hey, I am worthy enough to watch me on your free time, right? And that's a weird concept to kind of grasp on, right? Because you're not just playing video games. You're trying to actually gain somebody else's time. It's very valuable. Something very valuable.
And there's a fine line where you have to not pay attention to the numbers. And I know a lot of people say that, but I was shooting for that 10 people hanging out in my chat. I truly never crossed my mind to be a big streamer. I just wanted my own little, all these, PTA moms that I knew and the family members and everybody else that knew me wouldn't know about my secret, get to go hang out and play video games with my 10 friends. Okay. And I wanted to keep that super quiet, because that was kind of just me time. And I kind of think that's how any viewer is they're getting away from all the BS in their life. They're ready to have a good time and just hang out with you and have a good conversation and hang out with the other people in the chat or learn something. That's what they're doing. I was honestly shocked when it hit 15 and then 20. I got affiliate because I pulled my own stream up on my phone. My husband had my channel on his phone. The kids, I was like, turn it on your PC. Yeah. I struggled to get to affiliate. I think it took me 5 weeks to get affiliate. 5 or 6 weeks.
On that subject, on not looking at the numbers,
Mhm.
well, I had a conversation with Bams, and he kind of convinced me to hide my numbers, because one of the things about streaming is that, there's a psychology behind when you go and when you start streaming. You see a
Mhm.
high number in your viewer count, and all of a sudden your brain starts pumping endorphins and you feel great. People want me. people
Mhm.
people validate me. Then for some reason that next day you had one viewer, instead of 10. Instead of
Right.
kind of accepting and appreciating that one person, you're thinking about the other 9. Why are these people not here? And then you die, you're like, oh, fuck this game. And there's this negative kind of motion. It starts rolling forward. You have to be mentally strong, right? You have to go out there and be yourself no matter what. And it didn't really get, that idea didn't really get into my head until I talked to Bams like 2 days ago. Just because, I don't know why. I've watched videos, people saying this, like be
Right.
yourself, but for some reason, sometimes things don't really go into your brain until like
Right. They don't click until later.
Yes.
That's understandable.
It's weird.
Totally.
You experience this kind of fatigue, like times maybe you got on stream and all of a sudden you didn't feel as good as the last time because of the viewership.
Yeah. I remember thinking like, maybe I'll just turn off my stream and pretend this didn't even happen. I'll just delete the VOD. Like, it's no big deal that only 2 people showed up today, but honestly, like I remember having those feelings. And then at the same time, what's your immediate goal? If your immediate goal is just to hang out, and my goal this month is to make sure that I stream consistently, make sure that I interact with my community. To me, it's community, consistency, and content. Those are the 3 C's of streaming, honestly. So if you want to align your goals around one of those things this month, then focus on that. But the numbers really will just come naturally. If those 3 things are not fulfilled, you're not going to grow. That's the way that I look at it.
It's a little bit strange, I think, because I think you are both fortunate and talented. So like your experience of providing this valuable content and paying attention to your community has paid off, right? But I wonder, if there's something to be said for people that put the effort and don't get anywhere. I don't know. I recently read a tweet by Party Pineapple.
Yeah.
I think he's a I think he's an enjoyable Tarkov streamer, but his tweet was a little sad. He said something like, I'm done chasing partnership. He said like, I'm not getting any retention of viewers, and that just means I'm boring. I'm over it. Like I can read the room. Thank you for watching, but we're not going to go there. And that's kind of the fatigue that I'm talking about, right? I think Party Pineapple is actually like a chill guy, super good streamer, talented in Tarkov. He's letting those numbers affect him, right? And it's hard.
Right. Because we are our own worst critic. There's nothing anybody in the world can say to you that would ever top the way that you've talked to yourself.
Oh yeah,
that's true. Promise you. You know what I mean? Nobody will ever speak to you the way that you've spoken to yourself. The other thing is that I think people forget is you literally have 100% survival rate on your worst days. Do you know what I mean? Like there's nothing that can be thrown at you that you aren't already prepared to handle if you don't need to. But people lose faith in themselves and they get way too caught up in their own obstacles that they have created for themselves. And sometimes you just need to get the hell out of your own way.
To me, it's a little bit interesting that we're talking about this. We're talking about almost like life lessons, right? But we're drawing them from this world of gaming.
Right, because you can equate this to almost anything that you go through with your career. The infancy, the teenage, your 20s, your 30s. You watch people do it in Tarkov all the time. They get in, they're confused, they don't know what the hell's going on. Well, welcome to being 12. Like that. That's
welcome
how it goes.
to life's tutorial mode.
Right. Then you go, oh my God, like they hit this stage where they go, I have to have all this money. Oh my God, money makes me the best ever at this game. If I can have 100 million, if I can have 150 million, well then I'm the best. Oh shit. And you're like, okay, wow, you're 21. Like you could see them going through the phases. Well, then it becomes rich plus KD or survival rate. Then you have to add that on. Now they're hitting about I would say late 20s or early 30s, right? So now I'm rich and I have a great KD and survival rate. So now I'm absolutely the best. And then you see guys that are moving into their mid 30s, their 40s, their 50s. Now listen, like Pestily, Deadly Slob, like these guys are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, right? They're past all that. They don't care. They don't care about your money. They don't care about your survival rate. Like they're over here doing the hardcore challenge for the 7th time. They're like, I can
Yeah,
only play on Tuesday nights.
like getting
Standing on
Kappa
my
in 48 hours and stuff.
They are gods. They are absolute gods.
Yes.
So they don't mind that these little 20-year-olds are running around patting each other on the back like you're such a Chad, you have 100 million.
Yeah.
We all go through those phases. But a lot of times people get mad at those phases. And you
Yeah.
shouldn't get mad at them.
Oh,
Like
that's
you
true.
gotta just appreciate them,
That's
right?
true. That's true.
Appreciate them. There's nothing wrong with having 100 million and patting yourself on the back. Be excited about it. There's also nothing wrong with not caring about your KD. Like, so whatever phase you're in, embrace it, even if it sucks. and figure out what you're gonna do from there to keep moving on.
Yes, yes. I mean, I have one way of putting it. And I thought about it this year because I'm like, okay, next year I want to fucking be big, and or whatever, And one of the things I said is like, if I manage to make whatever I want successful, I'm never gonna struggle like I did at the beginning. So
True.
that's only gonna happen once if I make it, if I work hard. So why not kind of enjoy that grind? Because later I'm gonna look at it and be like, those times where I could just do whatever I want. That was really cool. That was really
Right.
cool.
You won't grind the same way. I can guarantee you I am 45 times more busy now than when I started out.
Right.
I truly am. But it's again, it's just those phases. Let me ask you really one important question that I want to know. Why do you want to be big? What's your why?
Oh, why do I want to be big? I think it's because of the format in which I drive my content. I interview professors, I interview experts, and I interview players from the gaming world, and there's all this information, I think, that gamers don't really have about the games that they play. And I think that it would be really cool if I could inform the public, because I don't mean to say I want Jeff Bezos to know who I am, but if
there's nothing wrong with that at all. If that's your goal, there's nothing wrong with it.
No. But I don't think I'm that ambitious. I think that if I could just have an audience that values what I bring and somehow be able to live a comfortable life with that, I'd be happy. Like I said, I was an architect before, and I would be working for people that have a lot of money, and we finish a project. And this guy, at some whimsical emotion, he goes like, yeah, I feel like this restaurant shouldn't be here. Can you move the entire restaurant? So it's like, oh, so just because you have the money, I have to work extra 5 weeks on the same project that I've already been working for a year. It's like, no. I don't want to do that. So for me, streaming and podcasting is all about doing what I want and being able to do what I want, being able to just be happy. But we're not here to talk about me. No.
It's fun though. I love hearing people's stories. So.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad you asked, because I usually never talk about myself in these situations. Let's move on a little bit. One of the amazing things about gaming streamers is that it's a job. It's like, what the fuck? From the outside seems absurd. One of my friends who's a business consultant, he always tells me Gabo, you have the hardest job there is. The creators have the hardest jobs there is. He's out there doing machine learning algorithms, programming AI, and he's telling me that I have the hardest job, So I think in some way he's speaking the truth, because these are the kinds of jobs that you have to make yourself. They look fun and they look like you're just having fun, but it's really hard to make this job by yourself. Have you had any awkward situations trying to explain to people what you do for a living now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't tell a lot of people.
Why? Is there a reason why you don't tell a lot of people?
Because of trying to explain it. They kind of they either think, especially because I'm a girl, they're like, oh, okay, so you're stripping in front of a camera? They don't
Oh my God.
understand what's happening there. Yeah. Or they think I'm just a gamer of living in mom's basement type thing. All you do is play games. the other one is, but how the hell do you make money off of that? I don't understand. Why would somebody pay $5 to watch you? And I'm like, they don't even have to pay that. And they're like, they don't have to pay. Why would they pay? And I'm like, I get it. Listen, I thought the same thing when I first found Twitch. You don't know unless you know. That's the thing. So yeah, I try not to explain to anybody that I don't have to what I do.
Right, right. So your general feeling is that people don't understand it.
No, not at all. Yeah.
Interesting. It
I
must.
think it's definitely growing, thank God.
Yeah. It's definitely becoming more accepted.
Right. Yeah. So we had to rent a house because we've been moving across the entire country for the last few months, and we just had the drops event, and I was going to stream on, or I did stream on BSG every day for the drops event and my own channel, but we had to rent a house. We couldn't do that from the travel trailer we were living in. I had to call all these Airbnbs and ask all about their internet capabilities, and they were like, "For what?" And I said, I'm a streamer, and these are the people that I got, some really crazy reactions from. One guy
I
was
see.
super excited just in general. He was like, "Oh yeah, I love Twitch. I play Call of Duty." And I was like, "Perfect." Like,
Thank God.
trying to explain to some of these people was not cool at all.
So okay, so let's start talking about a little bit about what you're really invested in, which is Evasion. When someone creates an amazing game like Battle State, right? They also create a community around it. Like the people that play it are become like the fuel and energy for that game. And there's leaders like yourself, there's leaders in this community, either content creators or organizers or influencers that start creating events and fueling this ecosystem with activities for like the players to happen. And that's where you come in. What inspired you to organize these tournaments and the streamer battles?
So back in the day, because I've been playing now for almost 3 years, towards the end of a wipe, it would get really dead. We would go into lobby after lobby, and it was just like a snooze fest. You were lucky if you found, one or two people to fight. And I said, what if we all try to get into the same server, same game, same map, the whole 9 yards? We'll all queue at the exact same time. And they're like, okay. So a bunch of us started doing that. And I was like, well, let's do it in teams, you know? And then I thought, nobody gets to watch this because my chat would be like, oh, I'm watching so and so's point of view, or why isn't so and so streaming? I wish I could see them because they're still alive, or chat started asking for things. And I was like, wait a minute, why don't I just, instead of, I'll take myself out of it and I'll just stream the multi-link and make sure whoever I have in there is streaming. So I'll invite 6 or 7 people that are streaming and let them just try to queue up together. And of course, that became a mess because trying to watch 6 or 7 streams at the same time is not a good idea. So then just fast forward a little bit, and I had 4 people loading into the exact same match together and saying, okay, just get away from each other. That way we cut out the let's hope they get into the same raid. We'll just make them load together. And so the solo battles came along.
Okay, solo battles was the first iteration of the streamer battles.
It was, yes. We did streamer battles and had a good time and ran an entire, what would be considered now a season, not knowing what we were doing, in the sense of like, I didn't know that this was going to turn into something that people really wanted to watch. And then came out with season 1 and said, okay, we're going to call this an actual season because we know we're going to have brackets in the whole 9 yards. And that was super cool and had a lot of fun with it. And I would say my first 2 seasons is where I got the most shit for it, where people, they still say it every once in a while, like, oh, Tarkov isn't esports ready and you can't make a competition and
I see,
all that. But the first 2 seasons, oh my gosh, yeah, people gave me a lot of crap for it. A lot of crap.
How
they were like, that's not possible. This game isn't set up for that. The servers suck.
I've watched the streamer battles, and I'll say this. I think streamer battles is a really, really fun tournament. I don't think the format is made for the viewers. I think the format is made for the players.
Yeah, so it's made for a vet player. The duo battles is a little bit more laid back, and it's not made for your average viewers. And I'm okay with that. You're not going to come in as somebody new to Tarkov and immediately wrap your head around what's happening. So Code Red contacted me back when a certain doctor was still on Twitch. about my streamer battles because they wanted to make a tournament. And I was so unimpressed for the Tarkov community because the Tarkov community is an older community that they have grasped a game that has a very high learning curve,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And to keep them entertained, I'm not here to entertain the guy that just picked up the game. I'm just not. And that's okay.
Mm.
But to keep them entertained, you need something that's going to reflect what Tarkov is about. I want them shooting, looting, being scared, working on a time limit. I don't want to just say, okay, you go into a map, whoever makes the most money and kills the most things wins. It's not what keeps me interested, and I don't believe it's what's going to
Yeah.
keep the vets interested.
I don't think it's what Tarkov is about, right? Tarkov's not about like getting the most kills and getting the most money. I agree with you. What I'm trying to get to though is the tournament is extremely fun for the players. It's not it's you go and watch your streamer get into this amazing situation and do something outside of the rules of the game that is fun. That's, I think, the reason why you watch streamer battles. It's not comparable to the Punisher tournament where
Right.
it's like just high octane content,
Right.
and anyone can just come in and say, oh, this is a kill race. Okay, well, I understand what it is. That is a tournament that is for the viewer. I don't think so much for it's not that fun, or maybe it is if you're like into that. But I don't like, in terms of playing Escape from Tarkov, is not that fun for the player. It's like,
right. I think it is to a certain extent because you said like it's not about money or just the kills. It is for some because I think it's really cool that we do have a game you can play 45 different ways.
yes,
You can be super ratty or super rich and go through your phases. Remember we talked about everybody goes through their phases with Tarkov. But I'm not mad at the Code Reds or
No.
especially, Pest. I love him to death. But his tournament, these all fulfill. We're all here to fulfill different aspects of the game. I just want mine to be more well-rounded.
yes,
And it is a lot more intense for creation and different things that goes on. That's not to say like the Punisher doesn't have a place. It has a place for sure.
no,
The
of
Code Reds
course.
have a place. And Tarkov is not esports by the exact definition. It is not esports ready, but that didn't stop me. And here we are, over 2 years later, killing it in this community. They want to see this stuff to evolve. And I want to see other tournaments pop up. I want to see them all over the place because I think it's a great way to bring communities together, big or small.
So to me, what's one of the things I love about these events is that, there's the idea that somebody can be out there trying to prove themselves. And with all the effort that it takes to organize this, you are actually providing that opportunity for somebody. Do you have any particular stories of somebody that, persevered through the tournament? Like a cool story of somebody.
There's one that comes to mind. Her name is Miss Lizard.
Mm-hmm.
And she just fought tooth and nail last season. And her last run on reserve was absolutely like YouTube worthy, but it was just funny to watch. She had been fighting PC problems, she had been fighting moving, like everything that could go against her. Finally sits down to be in the tournament. And she's like, okay, it's amazing. I've made it here. I took the day off work. I'm exhausted. She's got everything going on, and she's an absolute beast at the game. So I'm so excited that she's there to play. And the entire tournament is nothing but a nail biter dragging her body out of every raid, barely alive, had just massacred everything left and right. I just remember that, just the amount of work it took to get her to the tournament on her side, and then what the tournament ended up being. And then she ended up winning a wild card spot. It was just really cool. Yeah. So that super duper stood out to me. I'm always looking for the next unknown player and great streamer in one. Like the guy that can take a loss during the competition, shake it off, laugh about it, and then come back to kill the next raid. I'm always looking for that. Like the guys that like throw their headsets down and throw a fit, like honestly, I can't stand it. I seriously can't stand it. People think like we're organizing an event. Every single event that we do takes 10 hours minimum to plan. 10 hours.
And they take a long time to execute as well.
I want to make sure that the community is entertained and that the people that took the time to battle mod and volunteer and help me organize these are proud of what they have created. And I want the competitors to be severely entertained and scared out of their mind. So there's a lot of aspects that we try to make sure that we pay tribute to.
Yeah, and you're also there as an arbiter, right? Like if somebody's camping or somebody's doing something that is not to your standards, you're there to slap them in the face or in the hand.
Yeah, my battle mods, they bust their butt, and sometimes they get thrown into some awkward situations where they're like, "We need you to start moving. Like you can't hang out here for too long." Like hats off to them. I say this every single show because it truly is the most important thing. If it wasn't for the battle mods behind the scenes, we would not be here. I just always want to make sure that that's clear. That these guys who are volunteering, they're not streaming. Most of them aren't streamers. They come in and volunteer their time to make sure that everybody has a great experience and anybody that's watching is entertained.
How many battle mods do you guys have?
Right now, I think we're close to 20, but we put out, I would say that 6 to 7 of them are here all the time. And then we put out a battle mod application and we had 100 applicants. And I think we have that list down to about 30 that we would like to invite on, which is mind blowing, by the way, because we're sitting around 40 people in the Evasion organization as it is right now that have been with me for a while. And it's really flattering to me. Like, I'm really grateful.
Let me ask questions about that. Once you did the first iteration of streamer battles, how did you decide that this was going to be a more solidified organization? Like, when did you decide that?
So I was actually talking to Beanans, and because I had been approached by Code Red, and she said, I don't think you should have this under your name. Sigma is known for the battles, that's great, but you might want to move the battles over to something else, like over to another channel. And then that way they can be separated, because that way it won't be taking up space on your channel.
Yes.
And you could, kind of maybe have other people help with it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. Hats off to Beanans. I love you. Thank you for the suggestion. And so I created Evasion. I made a channel for it and I made a Discord for it. And there's quite a few people, even people that are very close to me, that were like, where are you going with this? Why are you making this? And I had to tell them, this is my vision. This is what I think. I think it'll work. Just trust me. And they're like, okay, all right, let's see what happens. And it's been the best decision ever, to be honest with you.
This is all volunteer work then?
It is, yeah.
So like, it's not like you're like paying salaries to these people.
One day I hope to. One day I hope
that
to.
Would be freaking amazing, Sigma.
Yes, that is the absolute goal, is to get Evasion so far off the ground that these guys that have been busting their ass and hanging with me, that I would be able to, I may not be able to fully financially support them, but that I would be able to throw extra money at them and
at least pay forward.
Cool. Yeah.
That would be really cool. So that's kind of what you hope for Evasion, is to become a established gaming organization.
Yeah, 100%. If you know me, you know I'm super passionate about the community. I don't hang out in big channels. Like, I really do enjoy hanging out with smaller streamers and trying to find that diamond in the rough and support these guys as much as I can. Yeah, like, honestly, I love the big streamers. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love you guys. Pest, you know that. Like, I watch Summit here.
I think everyone loves Pestilli if you're an Escape from Tarkov fan.
Yeah.
Like,
so
Pestilli's everyone's dad.
Small channels. Yeah, but most of the time I'm in the smaller channels, and most of my mods are too. We keep our eye out all the time on what's going on in the community the best that we can.
Right now I'm a little bit in a Tarkov hiatus. I don't know why in particular, but maybe I just got burnt out because in this year I've played like 1,500 hours of Tarkov. Like I say, it eats my soul away a little bit when I play it. I need to regain some of that before I jump back. Okay, so this is an interesting question, right? Because I think that you yourself are a little bit of a diamond in the rough, because we grew up with a generation of parents that didn't understand anything about gaming. My mom always told me to stop playing video games. When I talked to Bams, he was like, my dad was like, what if you spend all this time playing guitar? You know, that's the kind of things that parents in their generation kind of thought about. But you're kind of into this new generation of parents who understand the concepts of gaming. Do you worry about games for your family? Do you think that as a role model, for your son, let's say, you're establishing some good parameters for him to enjoy games?
We are a gaming family. My daughter has her setup. She's got multiple monitors. She loves Minecraft right now. That's kind of her thing. My son has a really hard time losing.
Mm.
And that's something that we've worked on for a while, which I think that being a gamer mom has actually helped me with a lot, because before he would lose and I would be like, just knock it off.
Mm.
Like, stop. But now I understand what it is to lose in one of these video games. It does suck. And so I think talking that through, instead of saying just stop it, don't throw a fit, and actually stopping to listen on why he was upset. He's kind of just kicking himself like, I could have done better. Well,
Yeah.
holy crap, we've all been there.
Yeah.
We understand that, especially if you play video games, you should know, like, damn it, that really tilted me. I think that that's helped a lot. My two older daughters weren't really into video games that much. My second oldest was, and I just treated it as like you get to go kind of just chill out after a long day. Back in the 70s and 80s, people went down to the bar, and got themselves shit-faced to relax after work. Why am I going to get mad at somebody that comes home and wants to play some video games a little bit? As long as it wasn't like taking away from anything. Like, hey, we're going to a birthday party for your son. Like, you better show up. Like that would be what I'm talking about.
Right. Do you restrict them a certain amount of hours?
So I'm not going to run around and be like, you get 3 hours today. But it's more like, hey, make sure that you're not staying up until freaking 11 o'clock at night. Get your ass off the computer, go brush your teeth, and chill out. Make sure that all of your trash is out of your room. I am still a mom. Like, get me your damn laundry so I can wash it. The biggest rule in our house, though, for any of my children is don't be an asshole.
And I think that's also true for your community on Twitch.
Yeah, for sure. I refuse to raise children or put up with assholes. I refuse to raise children that are going to go out and be a jerk to somebody. Hell no. I tell them all the time, I find out you acted like a damn fool, I will put my foot up your ass so far that you will cough out the sole of my shoe. And I'm not playing with them.
I would be scared of Sigma Mom.
That's good. Like, they should have the fear. You should be afraid of your parents, and not in the sense of like, oh, they're gonna kill me. But I mean, I think some of that fear comes out of just respect and whatnot, And it worked for my two oldest. Like, they're not assholes, and I'm really proud of that.
But back to what you said, being empathetic to what your son is going through when he loses a game, and not just dismissing as something that's not valid. I think that's something really important that we're getting to, because so when it comes to games, we're experimenting our limits of our emotions, the limits of our abilities, our confidence. When you're playing a horror game, you don't want that thing to be real. You go into it because you're like wondering how would I act in that situation, right? How would I be in that situation? And you're like, oh, I want to feel those emotions, but not necessarily be immersed in the reality of those emotions, right? So it kind of like teaches you to deal with that, right? Teaches you to deal with these negative emotions that come at you. There's one thing that I could do is get better at the mistakes that I did, and then maybe this won't happen again. To me, that's a very valuable lesson, right?
It is, yeah. It is for somebody that's, he's a 9.
Yeah.
That's a crazy good lesson to learn. There's a lot of good that can come from.
Yeah.
And to learn that lesson a little bit earlier on in your life isn't going to be bad at all. That's going to be a good thing. Honestly, like learning how to just take an L,
swallow
and
the
brush
pill.
it off.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. It's been cut down so dramatically over the years that I've been super impressed with them, but I feel like half of that has to do with me knowing what it's like.
Yeah, understanding, being empathetic. As we wrap this up, Sigma, after all this time, right, that you've been doing this, how do you measure success? Let me get a clear answer. Is it more subscribers? Is it more viewers? Is it getting those let's go moments? What is it? What is success to you?
I still find it really awkward when people say like, oh, you're a big streamer. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I haven't really measured it off of anything other than people saying I love hanging out on your channel, or I had a great time watching you do this, and they remember a specific moment, and I'm like, holy crap. But as far as Evasion goes, we had last night when we checked, we had over 320 applications for NA solo, just NA solo. As of last night, it doesn't even close for another 2 days. And that's more applications than we had for the entire season 3.
That's crazy.
And that made me really proud of what we've done, because that means that people, they want to be a part of it. That was really cool. So to me, that means that we're getting more successful, and BSG has taken notice, and they have they're meeting with me multiple times now so that we can talk about this season and where they can help. And that to me is a huge measure of success. Yeah. Dimitri and Nikita, all of the emissaries, like, and the Sherpas, they have all been so supportive and helpful. So to get their attention, I think that means I've been successful.
Wow, I mean, no, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, I'm really, really proud of it.
You've established something, and you've kept working on it for 2 years. And as Tarkov is growing, there's something to be said about you persevering on that front of the tournament organizing, because as Tarkov grows, so will the people that established valuable content or valuable events for that community, right? It's really cool. What is the best part of your job? Why do you love it?
The best part of my job, I don't know if this sounds cliche, but it would be everybody that I get to hang out with, whether it's the mods or getting to turn on my channel. And I think getting to talk to Chad is just such a freaking blessing. I don't know. That's so fun. Like, whether it's one person in there that wants to chit chat away, or if it's 10, or just people coming by to say hi, like, that's really freaking cool. So probably that, just getting to interact. I'm a social butterfly. I want to talk to everybody all the time. That's the only bad thing about getting a little bigger, was that I got really panicky that I wasn't going to be able to remember as much about people as I used to. When you have 10 people in your chat, you can keep track of that. You can ask them how this is going, or how did that thing turn out? Oh my God, did you get that job? I find myself thinking about what people have said to me all the time. I'll be cooking dinner and I'll be like, dude, I wonder if Needy Beach actually got his Kappa yet. I think about this stuff all the time. That's the one downside, is I know that I have forgotten things, and I'm like, son of a bitch, like, I really wanted to
that's
remember
so sweet.
those things.
That's so
it's
sweet
true,
of
though.
you.
I think that's the mom in me. Like, I want to give them all a hug, and if they act out of line, I'm going to smack them in the back of the head type thing. So
see, but that's one of the things that I love about hanging out in your community. It's like Sigma doesn't take shit from anybody. And it's like you literally shut them down in their tracks. It's not even it's really fun to watch you, Sigma, and thank you for doing this. I mean to ask you, is there something that we could look forward to for Evasion, for the next events of Evasion?
So for the very, very first time, we are doing trios. And I'm really excited about that. So we have a trio event on Shoreline, and there's a few details that I'm not able to release yet, but I can say that, and it's going to be intense. Yeah. So I want to see real tactical play. I want to see trios working, if there's a point man, if there's somebody that's going to break off, what is your exact goal? Why are you breaking off to go this way? Like, I want to see some really tactical gameplay happening.
Nice. Some cool strategies, some some big brain plays. All right, Sigma. Well, I have no questions for you anymore, but I had an awesome time talking to you and meeting you for the first time. Thank you for doing this, Sigma.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Do you want to throw a little bit of any plugs in for the audience to become familiar with you if they want to find you?
Yeah, if you want to check out anything to do with Evasion, you can go to evasion.gg. That's our website. I built it myself.
And what's your Twitch? What's your Twitter?
My Twitter is Sigma_Inc. and my Twitch is just Sigma. That's it.
How did you come up with the name, by the way?
So Sigma is because I have my master black belt in Six Sigma, and then Inc. came from playing Splatoon. So
I see.
There you go. Yeah.